Hello and welcome back to Anti-Depressing. This is the show where we talk about everything from liturgy
to Lexapro. Welcome, everybody. We're so happy to be with you. My gosh, what a whirlwind. We did it.
I know. What a time to be alive. Really getting deep into 2024 here. January is really happening. In my opinion, I actually don't feel like January is going that fast.
I don't.
It's pretty normally paced.
Yeah, I don't either. I do feel like, though, yesterday I did have a fever dream that it was already in the end of the year. So, like, when you think about
it's going to happen that fast, yeah.
Yeah, like, when you think about things that are happening, like, I don't know, like, I think about things that I said I was going to do with your kids. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll do that in February. And then I have that in my calendar for March. And then I have that. And I'm like, okay, like, that's only like 30 days from now. And then I'm like, oh, wow. And then it's closer to December than it is like January, and I'm like, okay, we're almost done with this year. And there's such this hyper way of like, wow, time actually really flies, and so
it does.
But then I'm also like, oh, it's only January 18th. I thought it was like January 42nd. So time also goes
does
very
feel like
slowly.
that sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're also like pretty fortunate. I feel like maybe elsewhere where it's so freezing right now, people feel like January has existed forever.
Yes.
It's like warm and fine here.
Have you been seeing people, I think our mutual friend yesterday, who I won't say his name because it's nothing bad, but public information. So, but our mutual friend yesterday posted that he's in Louisiana and he had like a drink and it was half frozen. It was 15 degrees where he lives in Louisiana. And I messaged him and I was like, dude, is this in Louisiana where you live? And he was like, yeah. He was like, what is it like where you are? And I was like, it's 70 degrees.
It's 70 degrees. I seriously don't understand. 15. I saw a video where it's like Florida is like red hot on fire and then everywhere just gets colder from there. It's really chaotic because normally Louisiana can kind of hang, it's pretty warm there too. But
15
but it's been cold.
degrees.
There's been some snow flurries. It's snowing in Dallas. Like, I don't know what's happening.
It's snowing in Dallas. Meanwhile, here I'm like, oh, it's a beautiful day to take the girls out. Let's we can do this.
Let's go to the beach.
I think the sun's gonna come out. We can go on a little beach walk. It's like so nice. The other day I came outside and I was talking to my mom and I was like, Mommy, it's not even hot. Like, why did you tell me to put on a sweatshirt? So and she was like, you're right. It's kind of warm. And
it is kind
of
warm.
I rolled with my windows down and I
know.
Yeah.
Yesterday morning I went outside and it was 35 apparently in the weather app. But it felt good. Like, it didn't even feel cold. And sometimes in Florida, similar to Louisiana, when it's cold, it feels like horrifically cold because it's so humid.
The wet.
But it felt like fine, and it was breezy, and it was like, what is this utopia?
This is nice.
We are living.
I know, we are living.
We are living. I know that's a privileged thing to say right now because I feel for everybody else, but we are living.
We are living. We are in a different existence. My colleagues every morning on my work calls, they'll be like, oh, yeah, so then I had to get in the car and take the kids to school and like barely made it because of the ice on the road. And then like my husband was shoveling and like this was just so. And they're like, how are you doing, Chanel? And I'm like, oh, I'm good. I'm good. Like my mom turned off the heat last night and it was pretty frigid in my room. It got down to 68 on the thermostat and I was just really cold. And they're like, and meanwhile, one of my colleagues is like, our furnace broke in our house and we live in Minnesota and literally I want to pass away. She's like, it is the coldest I have ever been in my life. And I'm like,
that's horrific.
I am so sorry, girl.
Yeah.
I literally thought my mom not putting the heat on, I thought I was just going to pass away.
You thought that was it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm proud of you for making it.
Thank you.
That's tough.
It's really tough. It's really tough. It's something that I kind of deal with. It's really tough. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. I feel that. Well, prayers to everyone dealing with this polar vortex situation. And if you need a break, we're happy to accept visitors in Florida. Everything's going really well down here. So
yeah, everything is going really well. Come on down to Florida. We need more people here. We need more people.
That's what we need.
We need more people. We need more people buying houses.
We need more people driving on I-4. We need more.
Bring them more. Wow. More. Well, Jasmine, how the heck are you? How's life? What's happening?
I'm honestly doing good. This kind of temperate weather has been incredible. And just hanging with the fam, working.
Love, as usual.
Hanging with you.
Yeah,
The
as
norm.
usual. Love it.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm doing good. You know, me just kind of vibing, hanging out. I'm just, just working and feeling like every day is just so new, but like kind of the same. So, every day it's kind of weird being okay.
That was poetic.
Thank you so much. I'm launching back into being 30. So it's crazy being older, and like I look in the mirror and I'm kind of like, the crazy thing is I'm getting older and like my mom's getting older and everyone's aging. And like, what am I learning about my life? What life lessons am I taking away? Like, how am I applying like
That's a beautiful question.
things that I've learned? How am I getting better? How am I hindering my own growth? Like, what can I do to be an optimal version of myself, like a robot? Like, what am I doing, And
how can I power up? Like,
how can I power up? How can I level up, in the words of Sierra? And so it's just really like, I don't know, but it's interesting. Like, so yeah, lately I've been having little mini, not crises, but just little mini thoughts when I'm like getting ready. I'm just kind of like, I wonder how I can just be better in this moment. Like, what am I doing to be better in this moment? Which, may or may not be healthy. I don't know. Kind of constantly.
It feels like pretty positive growth mindset.
Yeah.
As long as you're giving yourself like some grace and maybe a little
like
break.
I'm like, obviously the truth is that like slow and steady wins the race. It takes forever to build up a habit. But I'm also like, I don't know. So anyway, besides that, I've just kind of been like
trying to change your whole identity.
Besides change my whole identity, I've just kind of been vibing, I have my actual first laser hair removal. Is that what it's called? Laser hair removal? Hair removal. Yeah.
Removal. Yeah,
appointment today for my neck hair.
Very exciting. Okay, you had your pre-consultation.
I had my pre-consultation. They did a little test strip and no reaction. They were like, baby, because of these antidepressants you're on, we don't know. And thank God, Lexapro has come through.
Man.
Lexapro has come through again. No reactions for Chanel.
What can't she do?
It's healing me. This is not sponsored. But so today is my first real appointment. So you guys will check back next week if my just neck is on fire. But I'm excited, you guys. I'm
excited for you.
All of my like extra testosterone gang girlies stand up because my neck hair is crazy. And I'm just so excited to finally be gone with it. It is time. So yeah. So life is going well. You. Thank you.
Oh, I love that. Well, do you want to hear some antidepressing Catholic news?
I actually really would. Thank you. Perfect
I always
timing.
ask you as if you're going to have a choice.
No.
Are you ready?
It.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just thought this was so cute. And given what I shared with you about my dog, I'm going to like try to sign her up for this. Okay.
Love.
Animals blessed in St. Peter's Square for the feast of St. Anthony Abbot. So people brought like horses, cows, donkeys, dogs, sheep, chicken, rabbits. All the animals.
Love.
And farmers and pet owners alike, anybody, brought their animals to the Vatican for a special blessing on January 17th. And the Pope blessed the animals. And somebody was quoted saying like, let me see. About how farming is a job in contact with the earth and with creation. That was really sweet.
That's really sweet.
Isn't that sweet? I know there's big farming is all the rave right now. It's all the trend. So
it is. It is very.
So I loved this Vatican declaration that it was like a great thing to do. But yeah, and there's like a picture of a horse in St. Peter's Square, and I just love this. I really love this moment. I love this moment where we're blessing both like farmers, pet owners, and their pets. We're just going for it. We're just blessing anything.
It's like whatever. You know what? You have your meerkat, bring it. You have your ferret, bring it.
A snake? I don't know.
I love it.
Do you think anyone brought a snake? That's pretty like punny,
That would be pretty.
It's pretty like tongue in cheek. That's
LOL,
good.
right?
That's
yeah. What is that? I think it's like the morning psalm. It's like all the creatures of the land and sea bless the Lord. So it's like everything bless the Lord. Everything deserves. Yeah, it's blessings as like created things of the earth. So God bless, so happy. And, and farming is really trendy now. So, but not the farming in the real farming, I think.
Not like real grindy
I'm not like
farming.
a real grindy farmer knowledge, but trendy, like, are it. Like trendy, like I have a bunch of kids, homesteading, like
I'm gonna put quotes around it,
making your own mozzarella, like kind of hanging out with your kids in your like house with your big table, and like they're all one is drawing, one is like making their own oatmeal. It's all very like sweet now and like trendy. Mm-hmm. It's so thank you for the Vatican for recognizing farming.
I know, thank you. Yeah. And honestly, if I could get a blessing for my dog, I would do it, because she has been very annoying to me as an animal. Like last night, she sleeps in our room, but on her own little bed. And last night, she just click-clacked around the room all night. We have hardwood floors, and I need to trim her nails. And so I feel like it was like her punishing me for not trimming her nails. And she just clicked. And yes, could I have sent her out of the room? Yes. But then I would have had to get out of bed. And so I didn't. And so instead, I was just annoyed with her most of the night. So I think she just needs whatever inside of her makes her want to walk around at night. I need that healed,
It needs to be cast out. It's a demon, and it needs to be cast out.
It's something. There's something truly demonic about keeping someone awake.
And honestly, you made the right choice, because if you would have let Fran out of your room, she would have scratched on your girls' doors. Absolutely. Yes. They would have woken up at 3 a.m. You're making the right parental call.
Yeah. So, and her favorite thing to do is like to spite poop. And so like if I would have sent her out of my room, she's like not a bad dog normally.
Yeah.
But she will go, and like the girls have like a play mat, and she'll just go poop right on the mat right outside my door just to like prove a point if I would have kicked her out.
And then
I would have had to walk her.
Like, which one's worse? Waking up in the morning, cleaning up
the only solution would have been to walk her all the way downstairs and put her in her kennel. And there was just no way I was going to do that.
Yeah, there was no way. So next year, it sounds like you, Stephen, and the family are flying to the Vatican and getting
the only solution.
Getting Fran exercised, because you just need to cast out that demon of click clack. And I'm sure there is a demon called click clack that just sounds like.
I'm sure. I know. We definitely shouldn't say it too much.
Oh yeah, it just sounds like a little click clack of her toes. Oh my gosh, I'm afflicted by a cough.
I'm like, I'm
sorry,
you said
God.
That too many times, and now you're choking.
That's true. So God bless all creatures of the land and sea.
God bless
Lord.
them.
Yep. Here we go. So
let's do it. You ready to dance?
I absolutely am.
Do you need like some water? Are you going to choke?
No, I'm good. I really think that was God just telling me not to say that there were demons in your dog anymore. So, yep.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah. Sounds good. All right, here we go. I don't know if you could hear that, but I don't know.
But I know the beat so much in my own mind that I just followed your beat, and I was like, I think we're at
that's
this
good.
part.
I got very distracted because that was loud that was so loud. I must have like hit this dial when I backed it away. It was so
for everyone listening, they're like, that was kind of abrupt. We were watching.
Kind of intense. We're gonna have to get that turned down. That was very intense.
For sure.
Oof. You know when you're so old that like you hear one loud noise and you're like, maybe I have a headache now.
I miss when music was quiet. Yeah, absolutely.
I know. Music should be quieter. That's a fact.
Absolutely.
Okay, you want to tell us about our first story?
I would love to. Our first story of the day is Madison Marsh, a 22-year-old second lieutenant in the U.S. Air Force, was crowned, Miss America, which is a pretty big deal. And she is, the first active duty Air Force officer to ever receive that national title. So congrats to her. There is a big social media kind of movement for her of, just showing like women that are out there doing the thing and winning awards. Yeah. And so it was really cool. I think on her own social media, she showed herself in the crown Miss America and then kind of like turned her head quick. And then she was like in a plane, like flying a plane.
So cool.
Which is like so cool. And so she was just like, we can do it all. Like we can do what we can do it. And I watched that and I was like, we can. And I got up.
Maybe I'll get out of bed.
And I made that English muffin that I just did not want to make that morning.
There it is.
And I made it, and I took my vitamins because I can do it all. So congrats to Madison, because that is just like so cool. And, Miss America is an active duty Air Force officer. That is just
That's so cool.
Who would have thought? So yeah, we got active duty Air Force officers to Mrs. America is this woman, Ballerina Farm, who, is not her real name, but is her social media name. And she is a mother of now 8 kids. So we have everything from an active duty Air Force officer to a person that is raising 8 human beings. So, ladies, we can do it all.
Lighting her up right now.
Oh, I do know that. Yeah, I saw
because
that.
who is her family is like independently wealthy.
Yeah,
and I can't remember who her dad is.
I think it's her husband's dad. Like owns an airline. See.
I think she is the heir of the JetBlue.
She is the heir of
Yes,
JetBlue.
that's what I heard. So very interesting. So we're like launching into a different story because I just can't. Speaking of homesteading.
Yeah.
So they are like big homesteading. She was like a classical ballerina. Now like homesteading mom to 8, maybe gonna be 9. A lot.
I think she just had her 8th.
Just had her 8th.
She just had that baby. Yeah.
Okay. So they're really going for it, but they rock this like very calm
aesthetic
homestead life, which they obviously monetize like their social media, right?
For sure.
Because they have a lot of followers.
Yeah.
So it's like homesteading, but also like you still have a job.
Yeah.
In like
and
traditional...
they have a working farm where they sell, like you can go on the website and buy like...
Yeah, like she's a businesswoman.
Croissants and like meat. Yeah.
Yeah, it's happening. And so some people are like, oh my gosh, like we're already rich and like they're gonna be rich. And first of all, like rich parents doesn't mean rich you. So let's give her a break, right? But also like, she never claimed she had no money. She never claimed she had no money. But people are really turning up because they're like, you don't understand what it's like to actually like be a farmer and have to like have that be your living. Like this is just a fun hobby for you that now you're like monetizing on social media and doing all this stuff. And people are kind of like turning up over her. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, people are turning up over her. Okay, so I'm going to leave that there. I just saw a video the other day about something else regarding her. But first I'm going to address people turning up because of the farming.
Yeah.
And there's this interesting conversation about like, she has done behind the scenes videos where she's like, these are all the people that work on our farm. And like, they were all really awesome. And, yada, yada,
recognizing.
yada. Yeah. And she's like, they're really great. And then there's been videos where she's like, I'm making my own cheese and making my own bread and making my own meatballs. And we're going to have meatball subs. And I have all my 7 kids running around, and this is just me in a normal life, like making my own deconstructed sandwich. And people are like, that's not real life. Like, so it kind of reminds me of like those jokes that people will say. We're like, hey, I don't have a firm opinion on this, but I just think it's funny when people will say like, Chanel gets online and she says, I'm making a ham and cheese sandwich. And people in the comments are like, well, what if you're allergic to ham? And it's like, well, then I guess you're not eating a ham and cheese sandwich.
Then whatever. Like, I'm making it for me.
I'm making a ham and cheese sandwich. Like, I don't know. Like, okay, well, what if you're allergic to cheese? Okay, well, I don't know. Like, make a ham sandwich. And so it's
true.
like,
you're like, I'm not making it for you.
I don't know. Yeah.
Oh,
and so
gosh,
it's one of those things where I'm like, well, I don't know. She's making her own cheese and pasteurizing her own milk, whatever. And it's like just kind of whatever, it's like whatever. Sure. Is she kind of imaging this farming lifestyle that's like not real? Like, I don't even want to say that. That's not farming in the sense that she's like, if she suffers from her crops, is her family gonna like not be able to survive? No. So it's
fine. Mm-hmm.
She'll be fine. So I get it. And then there's this other conversation that I've seen about her where she just had her 8th child, and in 1 week postpartum, she posted a video trying on clothes for the first time for Mrs. World competitions, and she was like in a leather pants and a form-fitting top And all of the comments are like, 1 week postpartum, I was wearing diapers. Like, you're not like, you're not setting a good example. You're like, and there's this conversation about like trad wives, and and this whole, like, you immediately have to bounce back. And the only kind of appropriate motherhood is if you're skinny again. So, or if you become skinny. And so I don't know. I do see the hard things in what she's posting and doing, because I mean, but I don't know. She also doesn't have a responsibility to disclose, like, oh, we are very wealthy and we've chosen to make our own bread. Like, she doesn't have to say, I'm making my own bread, but like, we have a lot of money, So it's like, it's not really her thing to tell us that. But then also at the same point, I understand where people are like, oh, you're kind of doing this life as if your kids are like wearing hand sewn clothes and yada yada yada, but we all know that your oven was worth like $37,000. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? I'm just so curious. I'm curious about what are your thoughts on disclosure is, and then what your thoughts on her like whole postpartum thing, because people are really coming after her for like bouncing back.
I think you don't have to tell people how much money you have in general. I think that influencers, some of them make a lot of money and are like millionaires from being influencers. And I don't think people fully understand that that's like a whole career, And so people are monetizing this. Obviously she's monetizing this. And then she has her farm, so she's monetizing. So already she would have a significant amount of money. But then, the fact that she is going to receive this money because of who her family is, like, I don't think that changes whether she's allowed or not allowed to make content. I do think, like, for somebody who's just like a normal, trying to have a farmette, trying to start a business, and is maybe like, why is hers been more successful? There is a sort of like, if you have startup money, it's a little easier. And so maybe like disclose that. Like, I don't know. Yeah, like I don't know. And I don't know that we are owed that. I think people think they're owed so much information about other people because we're in like the social media age. And so we think we deserve to know who everybody's family is and who everything is and how much money you have and how, whatever. And I just don't think people owe each other that much. But like the end of 2023, like all over social media, I was like influencers being like, this is how much I made from Instagram in January, February, March. And you could do it too. Like, girl, it's like, girl, we don't need to know all that. Like, I don't want to know necessarily what your bank account looks like to think you're like interesting and engaging to follow. Like, I really don't need to be plugged in like that. And so to me, I don't think so. I don't need to know who your people are and how much money you make to think that your content's interesting, or that you deserve to be somebody who's allowed to make content. I think that whole thing's kind of silly. That is. And the postpartum stuff is so tricky because to me, like, no, I mean, was I in leggings a week postpartum? Like, no. Was I in spandex? Like, no. And do I think that it like puts pressure on women to like bounce back so quickly? Yeah. But also like it's her body. And so this is her 8th kid. And so things are different. And so she is choosing that like that's what she wants to wear. And that's what makes her feel good and confident. Then good for her. But I think like the important thing as a mom, especially as like a first time mom, is to not look at how quick other women bounce back and listen to that and internalize that as like, now I need to. I think you need to like be patient and kind to your own body because everybody's body is different. And like they can do what they need to do with their body and their recovery, and you can do what you want to do. But like the pressure on women is crazy. It's astronomical. And and there's pressure on women forever for the rest of your life for other things. There's pressure on everybody for different things. It's no different. And so I think like becoming kind of, I don't know how to say it, like non-affected by pressure around you, I think is like a life skill that definitely like comes into play postpartum when you're like, foggier. And like if you've practiced your whole life being unaffected by what people say, then like it's not going to feel as intense when you see somebody 3 weeks postpartum, it looks like they never had a kid, and then you're like struggling, That's a really good point. And, and you're right. I think that the criticisms will always come. And it's interesting reading even on Reddit threads, like the comments of people saying like,
this is sick. Even if we just ignore her needs, her baby needs attention. How could she be leaving her house for something like a pageant? And people are commenting and they're like, it's narcissism at its best. Like, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like
people need to leave people alone.
And I'm like, and I've even seen comments like that from people, from some of my friends that work in radio or TV or, and
this happens in Catholic ministry a lot.
Catholic ministry a lot, where people are like, oh my gosh, like your baby needs your attention. Like a mother's love is critical. And I'm like, you have no idea what kind of conversations these people have been having, like what this mom and dad have conversations about in private. You have no idea. Like, no idea. They probably have the same concerns of like, oh, we got to make sure that obviously our kid doesn't grow up thinking like the fridge is its mother. So like, how are we going to like make that happen? And I just think it's like, it honestly seems like a lose-lose. And
it does. It does. And I think people are working hard and making the best decision. Most people are making the best decisions for their family. And I think we need to kind of like chill a little, I think it's okay.
So God bless
circling way back to this Air Force officer.
Yeah.
But Ballerina Farms needed our attention. Thank you for bringing that up.
You're welcome.
Okay. I thought it was so cool during the pageant, she like talked about being her like special talent was kind of like like some speech, which was really cool. And she talked about how she got her pilot's license when she was 16.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was legal. I was shook by that. But I just thought it was really cool to see somebody who is balancing like strength and beauty in a very like obvious way. And her talking about like how a lot of people think like pageant queens, that's all they are, and they have like no identity outside of that. But then on the other side, a lot of people think like women in the military, there's like stereotypes about that. And so she's like, I just want people to know that no matter where they are, like they can be both, and they can be more than like what other people expect them to be. And I think that's just such a beautiful message to like young women, and really just all people, that like whatever like camp you fall into, like you can be more than just that.
Word.
And I was thinking kind of even about like conversations we've had where a lot of times once you're like, oh, I'm like a Catholic young adult, you kind of get put into a box. And so even being able to be like, well, I'm also these things and these things and these things, I think it's just really interesting to see how unique people are, even though we kind of all fall into this one category, and still able to like express themselves and be individuals.
Word. Jasmine, that was a beautiful closeout, and we're proud of you, Madison. We're proud of you. And,
get it.
And thank you for being an active duty Air Force officer. That's so intense. That's so intense. Absolutely never. So.
And she's in getting her master's.
Yeah,
in
God
public policy. Sure.
Meanwhile,
sure, girl.
I asked my mom to put extra fabric softener in my laundry yesterday. So we're all
doing a lot.
We're all doing a lot. So speaking of our next story is about award season. So not as much of a story as a celebration of the fact that Abbott Elementary won an Emmy, which
I know you're so
Quinta
excited.
Brunson should win an Emmy because she is just so talented. And if you have not watched Abbott Elementary, it is so funny.
So good.
And I, for Jasmine and I have both been teachers, and it is just, it's such real. A look into being a teacher when you're just like, oh my gosh, what is happening like half of the time. And so it won an Emmy. Congratulations. And then you like noticed something about the Critics' Choice Awards, which I did not even.
Okay, so my sister actually sent me this, so credit where credit's due.
Credit.
But we love Robert Downey Jr. and Tom Holland, who were both at the Critics' Choice Awards.
Big fans.
And Tom Holland, when he was on the red carpet, someone was like, oh, it's kind of like an Avengers reunion here. And he was like, oh yeah, I saw Tom Hiddleston. And he's like, I need to go say hi to him. And then the person interviewing him was like, oh yeah, and Robert Downey Jr.'s here. And Tom Holland is like so taken aback, and he's like, Robert's here. He was like, well, he's gonna get a big cuddle. And It took me out. I just like love them.
I love their relationship.
It's so sweet. It's so like father, son, older brother, younger brother. It's like really what you see on screen and off screen. But Robert Downey Jr. speech for me, there's been a lot of good awards speeches. I will say, but this is one of my favorite because I just love that he took the moment to be like a little petty. So he got the Critics' Choice Award for Best Supporting Actor, I think, in Oppenheimer. And in his speech, he said, "The Critics' Choice Association, they've given me such beautiful feedback, really just so many great moments. And some of it's so poetic. I just want to share their thoughts with you over the years." And then he said, one of them he would describe as a haiku. He said, quote, about Robert Downey Jr., "Sloppy, messy, and lazy." And
love.
And then he said, he cited being compared his performance in an unnamed project to Pee Wee Herman emerging from a coma, and another critic who called him a puzzling waste of talent. And then last one, you'll love this. He said, "This final review lingered with me, and it was that Robert Downey Jr.'s performance is as amusing as a bed-locked fart."
I will be saying that to people. You are as amusing as a bed-locked fart. That is so...
thought, like, that is so funny.
That is so
funny. And probably consoling to like young artists who might be getting like really negative critiques.
It's like Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey
He's
Jr.
like, same.
Is checking Rotten Tomatoes. He is reading.
He's reading it.
He is reading.
Don't think he's not.
Letterboxd reviews. He sees what people are saying, and
he
that
knows.
in itself is hilarious.
It's hilarious that he wasn't like, "Thank you so much for like finally recognizing that I'm like." He's incredibly talented, and so for him to just take this moment to be like, "Let's talk about all the things you guys have said about me when you weren't celebrating me. Like, let's bring it back down." And I love it. I think that's
from
like
there
the
we learn what can
thing.
Robert Downey Jr. teach us about the virtue of humility. A lot. It seems
a
like
lot.
in this
He's
one
like, "Look,
instance,
it's not that
a
crazy.
Lot. It's not that crazy. Yeah.
He can teach us a lot.
In this one instance, Robert, thank you for what you've taught us.
Thank you for modeling humility.
Thank you for modeling humility in this instance.
Stars, they're just like us.
They're just like us. Wow. So for our last story, we're rolling right into anxiety, which, is one of our which is one of our favorite things.
One of our core personality traits.
It is my personality trait. Jennifer Lawrence got married, and she had an interview where she had a conversation about wedding advice and how to reduce anxiety. Some of my favorite quotes from her story was my favorite is she got married in Newport, Rhode Island, and it was freezing, and she was like, are people cold? Like, is everyone having fun? And
her friends were like, no.
Her friends were like, no, like no, nobody's cold. Like, everyone's having a great time, and everything's fine. Everything's fine. And then she said, my mom was like, it's freezing out there. Your grandmother almost died. Like, that is hilarious. Like, the level of pressure to be like, is everyone having a good time? Like, is everyone okay? Meanwhile, all your friends are like, no, it's fun. And your mom is like, no, it's freezing. This was a bad choice. Your grandmother could have passed away. Like, just so funny. But she talks more just about general wedding anxiety, planning that huge party. Yeah, she talks about how it was just
stressful. Like, she didn't enjoy the whole process.
Yeah. And like, I have never planned my own wedding, but I know someone on this podcast that has. And I wonder who it is. And, and it's just like, it really, you had a great point earlier when you were just sharing about, planning a wedding is actually not for other people, which is kind of nuts. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I think when you read like the story from Jennifer Lawrence, it's not like unusual. And obviously hers is heightened because she's got she listed like Adele, Kris Jenner, Emma Stone, all at her thing. Mm-hmm. At one point, she was like, Robert De Niro is not having fun. And he's like 80 years old. And she walked over to him and was like, I need you to go home. Like, it's clear you're not enjoying yourself. And I don't want you to have to be somewhere you don't want to be. So I just want you to know, like, it's fine. Just go home. Which is so wild. But it's like not that unusual. And I was just talking to a friend who's planning her wedding. And she was like, what if like people don't have fun? What if they're not enjoying themselves? I'm going to feel so bad. And I think like when you're an empath and a people pleaser, being at your own wedding is really hard because you're so concerned that everybody else is like having a good time and you feel like you're hosting this big party. And to a degree you are, but the party is for you and your spouse to celebrate your love. And I think at the end of the day, like people are there to watch you get married. And anything else that happens is a bonus. And if you're going to have people that are like complaining about like the food or the music or the whatever, like they weren't actually there to celebrate you and your love. Otherwise, they really wouldn't care. Like they would just be excited to celebrate you. And so I think it just like steals so much of the joy of the day for the people getting married to feel like they need to be like on the whole time and entertaining. And I needed to have a conversation with everybody. And then you end up just like not even hanging out with your spouse and not even like just taking the day in for what it is. And then like as Catholic people planning weddings, it's like so focused on the reception. And really like the main focus of a wedding is on the ceremony, right? And on the actual mass and on your vows and on all of that. But when you're so stressed about like the reception going perfectly and everybody having like this perfectly curated time, you kind of miss the entire planning part and the entire prep and purpose of the day, which is celebrating like you and your spouse becoming one. And I just think it's too much pressure and people like just panic because it's too much.
Yeah. And that's a word. I've been to my fair share of Catholic weddings. And I've been to some non-Catholic weddings, and all around it seems very stressful. And you're right, you know, especially I think in Catholic wedding circles, there is this really big concern at having this like huge, awesome party. And then I've only seen recently some dear friends that are like, we really wanted the ceremony to be beautiful because of the people that are coming. Like we wanted them, we might have friends that are like not practicing or are not Catholic at all. And we wanted it to like be beautiful so they can witness that. And for us to be able to remember and witness that as well. And so, you know, just, I think just with marriage, y'all, and weddings, just remember to keep the main thing. Like y'all are getting married so you guys can become one flesh. So like that's the main thing. And that
is the main thing.
And like everything else is just kind of icing on the cake. Whoa. Wedding.
Literally.
Wedding. And you know, and it's just like it is what it is. People are gonna have fun. Agreed. And it's all good. If you're having fun, they're having fun. And if you're eating, they'll eat. Don't forget to eat. Don't forget to
eat.
Yeah. Don't forget to sit with your baby and just like, you know, smooch a little, you know, because people want to see that. People want you to be happy. Just enjoy it.
They want to see the love. They want to see you like joyful and not stressed. Like they didn't come to see you stressed, making sure that you're having a good time. Yeah. And if they did, then they're kind of the worst, you know, like that's just not really the mood. Yeah. And I think some of the best advice I got for my wedding was like to just not have my phone all day because as you know, I'm a little type A. I like things to be like going according to plan.
It's one of your good qualities. You are very organized, but it can also be a cross. Yeah.
Yep. I needed to let it go. And so I did not have my phone. I didn't know what time it was. Showed up late to my dinner at my wedding. But like, did anybody care? No, because we're like having hors d'oeuvres. We're having whatever. Everything's chill. Whatever. And it didn't matter. But I was having the time of my life just being present because everything was just like kind of happening around me and I wasn't controlling the flow, which was really great. So if you're a type A girly and love to have things on a tight schedule, just maybe don't know what time it is and let everybody else tell you like, oh, it's time to go to this thing, and pick like one person who's very chill, who won't stress you out to tell you it's time to go to the next thing.
All right, baby, it's time to go.
Like you don't need 18 people screaming at you that you're late, But like pick somebody who's like, okay, here we go. And that person will tell the rest of your bridesmaids, like, stop. Like, you don't need to tell her what time it is. You don't need to stress. Like, I was very blessed with like the chillest bridal party because it's just like my sisters. And
they are
one of my best friends. And it's so chill. But I know there are bridal parties who like everybody's kind of a stressy girl. And I think you just need your chillest person in charge of the flow who will be like, nope, everybody chill. We're going to keep it moving. It's all good. You know,
it's all good because
keep things running smooth until.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, what are they going to do? Have a reception without me?
Yeah. They're going to start the wedding march without me.
They're going to start the wedding march without me. What are they going to do?
Who's going to walk down the aisle during the ceremony? Like nothing's going to happen without you. And so just breathe, enjoy it. Learn from Jennifer Lawrence, who didn't enjoy her wedding day fully, to just like take a deep breath, you know?
So the takeaway from here is
management.
Our main advice is if you have anxiety about your wedding, if you have anxiety about a party you're planning, if you have anxiety about something like that, don't. That's the advice.
Don't. Maybe just like learn some coping skills before the day. Practice them before the day.
Keep
the
whole
main
wedding
thing,
the
process.
main thing.
There's plenty of times to practice being stressed and working through it, you know?
For all of our single baddies out here, you're having like a party at your house, you're hosting a dinner, you're doing something fun like that. Keep the main thing the main thing. And people are there to see you. They're there to see you, and people are at your wedding to see you and your baby. And just like remember that. And it's cool. And everything else will just flow. And it's all good.
It will.
So yeah. So God bless y'all. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for being here. The world is depressing.
But we are not. We love y'all. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.